state that his old team, the Patriots, haven't made the postseason after they finished just 7-9 this season. So, Shannon, how bad does Belichick look for not wanting to go forward with Tom Brady?
Well, it's easy to say that now, Skip, but I think Coach Belichick knew that he couldn't provide Tom Brady with what he needed, and Tom was smart enough to realize it. Julian Edelman is breaking down, and Jacoby Myers and these other tight ends, Skip, he just knew. Skip, it's like, look, this is a relationship. And, Skip, I've been in relationships where me and the girl is broken up and she's later going on to get married. I'm not upset. I just couldn't give her what the next guy could. Coach Belichick realized I couldn't give Tom Brady the weapons that he has in Tampa. I can't get mad at them, just like Coach Belichick can't get mad at Tom. I'm sure Tom would have loved to have stayed, finished his career in New England. But, Skip, he knew he had to leave because Coach Belichick couldn't give him what he needed to compete. And at this juncture, you see James Harden threw a fit. James like, man, bro, at this stage of my career, I'm trying to win a championship. I ain't just trying, I love scoring points, but I want to be able to compete for something. Tom is not coming to work, pouring hours over film, Skip, just to come out there and be 11-5 and get knocked out in the divisional round of the playoffs. He wants to compete for titles, and he wasn't going to be able to do that. So it's easy to say, yeah, Coach Belichick misses Tom. But Coach Belichick knew he couldn't give Tom what this new relationship could.
Do you think that's why he let him go or pushed him out the back door?
I think there's a part of him didn't think Tom could do what Tom is doing currently. And he was right. He couldn't do that in New England. He could do that somewhere else with some weapons. Skip, you know he's not throwing 40 touchdowns with those weapons. With those tight ends, with those receivers, Tom Brady ain't scoring.
Tight ends you can't name, right?
I don't know, Skip. I don't know.
Matt LaCosse.
Matt LaCosse.
Ryan Izzo.
Okay.
Right? Ryan Izzo. Where is he now?
Jacoby Myers and Demir Bird.
N'Keal Harris.
He's not throwing 40 touchdowns. He's not throwing for 4,400 yards with that group.
He's not. The running game was okay. The offensive line was down a little from what it's been. Look, Bill Belichick, as he neared 70 years of age, said, I want a shot to show everybody I was the reason. I want the ability. I have earned the right to show the world that I will quickly turn this around into another Super Bowl team without that guy who was getting way too much of the credit for my taste, said Bill Belichick.
Right.
And yet it was up to Robert Kraft to referee and to pick a side. And for years, he picked Tom's side.
He did.
Until the bitter end, when you had it on a platter for Tom to play 2-3 more years and call it a day and a career and a dynasty in New England, which is the way it should have been.
Right.
But Kraft said, no, at this point, I got to side with my coach. He and his coaching staff are whispering to me, he's about done. He's losing it. He's starting to show diminished skills.
You remember, Skip, when Tom Brady said this, he's probably like 40, maybe 39, 40. He says, I want to play till he's 45. Well, Tom said that. Mr. Kraft even backed it up.
He did.
Tommy said he wants to play to 45. He's going. Coach Belichick never said anything about that. Coach Belichick said, I'm just trying to get through this. I'm trying to get through the next game. I'm trying to get through a season. So Coach Belichick never was on board with the 45 like Tom and Mr. Kraft was. And so at the end of the day, like you said, Mr. Kraft's like, I got to make a decision. Okay, let's just say for the sake of argument, I choose Tom. And Tom plays one more year, but I'm without Coach Belichick for the rest of my career. And so he went with the coach over the better question is, what's Mr. Kraft feeling? Because you know Coach Belichick don't give a damn, Skip. Yeah,
I agree. But Robert Kraft has to be shaking his head quietly. He'll never say so publicly and saying, yeah, what are we thinking? Because I promise you today, you're going to see a whole lot more number 12 Buccaneers jerseys pop up in and around Boston. You watch.
But Skip also, Mr. Kraft also knows, and like I said, I still don't know where the money went. Now somebody, maybe they got cryptocurrency. They doing Bitcoin. Because Skip, I'm looking at it, I'm like, how are you guys pressed up against the cap when ain't nobody making no money but Tom and Gilmore? I mean, those are your guys, Skip. Those are the only guys. I mean, Tom wasn't even a top 10 quarterback as far as money paid. So I'm like, How y'all pressed against the cap? I understand you just kicked the can down the road, but hell, it wasn't nothing in the can to begin with. It ain't like you spilled something.
Tom Brady just took $20 million, which is the all-time quarterback
You got 2 years, $50 million guaranteed.
Yeah,
25.
to take a team all the way to the NFC Championship game that was 7-9 a year ago.
And he probably got a couple of incentives. He win the NFC Championship
but I
game.
don't think they were that much.
Yeah, but probably $1 million
Not
bucks.
significant. Okay, so to me, Bill Belichick, once again, is getting exposed not only as a coach, but as a team builder, much more as a team builder than a coach. Because at moments this year, I thought his defense was pretty good.
Right.
At moments, they got a lot out of Cam.
Right.
But not enough to the point that Cam's not going to be back.
Let me ask you a question, Skip. Do you believe this, and I believe this is the reason that Tom went to Tampa, is that when he was in New England at the end, if he didn't play great, they lost. Tom Brady didn't have a great game, but his defense was outstanding. Do you believe that Tom could have played like some of the games he played this year and still won? I don't believe that. Because I don't believe the offensive weapons that they have. Okay. I believe Tampa's defense is better than New England. You know, I get that Stephon was in and out of the lineup, and he's probably going to be out of there.
You had some opt-outs.
Right.
Hightower.
But Skip, Tom is smarter than people gave him credit for. And they see golly gee whiz, aw shucks, Tom.
Thank you.
But Tom is surveying the land. Where can I go that there's an opening that has Skip, I'm going to let them handle the defense. I need to be concerned about the offense. Man, Mike Evans, 27. Chris Godwin, Cameron Brate, O.J. Howard. They got Rojo. They got some nice little pieces.
Well, I told you he looked at little Scotty Miller and he said, you know what? I can work with that.
Right. And it is reported that the Saints were interested had Drew retired.
Yep.
I'm sure he would. I couldn't even imagine Tom Brady with Sean Payton. Gee.
Yep. So if you look at what Belichick has gotten away with, he has been a below average, I'm talking about team builder, because he got to buy the groceries.
Yeah.
He's bought a bunch of rotten groceries over the years that Tom has camouflaged and risen above. And just a year ago, Tom had them in position, final regular season game. He drives down, scores his touchdown to go ahead 14-10 to be the 2 seed in the AFC with all that junk, all those rotten apples that they had left in the cupboard in New England. Well, that was the end of the quote-unquote dynasty, because then they give up a Ryan Fitzmagic drive to win the game, knocks them out of the 2 seed, out of the bye. They lose at home to Tennessee, and now they lose their way because, help me out, it's not like he's grooming a young quarterback where you say, boy, give that kid a couple of years and he'll be Brady-esque. Jared Stidham?
And you're exactly right, Skip. And if I'm looking at New England, I'm looking at the AFC. Let's just say the Patriots finished 7-9 this year. Let's just say Tom stays. They're 9-7, 10-6. Skip, you know Miami went 10-6 and didn't make the playoffs. There's no assurances that if he goes 10-6, he's gonna make the playoffs. So he goes 11. I mean, he went 11-5 with Tampa, and Tampa is way more talented than New England. But Tom was right to get up out of there, Skip. I mean, like I said, when you get to be 21, Skip, what motivates me to get up and come to work? Going 10-6, or having an opportunity to compete for a Super Bowl? To watch that kind of the kind of film study that it takes, Skip. Because for me, wasn't nothing keeping me interested. I'm just trying to watch it feel.
Well, if I could quote a couple of quotes from Tom Brady that I have right here after yesterday's game, this summed it up for me. He said that we have a really unique team. We have great chemistry here in Tampa, and we have fun at practice. You think he ever said that one time?
Yeah, no funny Friday.
We have fun in practice. It's now fun. He wanted at least 1 year of fun. They work hard and they play hard during the games, but they also have a good time doing it.
Well, that was the thing, and credit to Mike. Skip, he let us have as much fun, but when he blew the whistle and it was time to practice, now we laughing and joking and making jokes and having fun and doing all that other stuff. But when he blew the whistle, it's time to practice, okay, we're going to have practice. He blew the whistle at the end of practice, we back to having fun again.
So Tom Brady, trust me, during practice, he's the bad cop. Arians is the good cop, but Tom's the bad cop, but he also is having fun doing it, and he knows they're all having a blast because guess what? all that matters is winning. And he's teaching them this is how you sacrifice to win football games.
You read Tom's lip yesterday. They showed on him and they got a penalty. And what the F are we doing?
I know. Any false start, it was by the backup guard.
Yeah.
Playing.
But I think Coach Belichick knew that he couldn't provide Tom Brady with what he needed, and Tom was smart enough to realize it. Julian Edelman is breaking down, and Jacoby Myers and these other tight ends, Skip, he just knew. Skip, it's like, look, this is a relationship. And, Skip, I've been in relationships where me and the girl is broken up and she's later going on to get married. I'm not upset. I just couldn't give her what the next guy could. Coach Belichick realized I couldn't give Tom Brady the weapons that he has in Tampa. I can't get mad at them. Just like Coach Belichick can't get mad at Tom. I'm sure Tom would have loved to have stayed, finished his career in New England. But, Skip, he knew he had to leave because Coach Belichick couldn't give him what he needed to compete. And at this juncture, you see James Harden threw a fit. James like, man, bro, at this stage of my career, I'm trying to win a championship. I ain't just trying, I love scoring points, but I want to be able to compete for something. Tom is not coming to work